Hello everyone and welcome to BMC. This is Dr. Nouf Alshreif. I'm an assistant professor of English. I'm also the deputy head of the English department at Batterjee Medical College. Today we'll be covering the concept of academic integrity. We're going to be starting the talk with the concept of academic integrity itself, and then we're going to be covering what is plagiarism, types of plagiarism, strategies to avoid plagiarism. When it comes to defining academic integrity, it is the expectation that teachers, students, researchers, and all members of the academic community act with honesty, trust, fairness, respect, and responsibility. There are a number of different types when it comes to academic integrity violations that you have to be aware of early this year. The first type of academic integrity violation is plagiarism, which is a type of fraud that involves using someone else's words, ideas, or data as if it were one's own work. So basically, when you plagiarize someone else's work, you're using their work without referencing the source of the information. The second type of integrity violation that we are going to be addressing today is cheating, which is an attempt to misrepresent one's mastery of information or skills being assessed. Third, we have any kind of misconduct that relates to technology use. So make sure that you're not using your peers' accounts or information online. You're not accessing their exam soft or using any of their data that are saved to their devices online. A fourth type of academic integrity violation is any kind of deceitful conduct relevant to a student's participation in a course or any other academic exercise or function. And finally, academic integrity violations include any kind of unethical behavior in the academic experience. When it comes to plagiarism, defining plagiarism is borrowing someone's ideas, information, or language without documenting the source. This is a plagiarism act because it does not have the honesty of providing the source of the information. Sometimes students document the source, but they are using a language that is very close to the original source. This is also another kind of plagiarism or unintentional plagiarism that students might commit because of ignorance that this is a kind of plagiarism. So if you are using someone else's words or ideas, you have to document their sources, you have to document the source of the information, and you have to use, if you are paraphrasing, you have to use a language that is different from the original source with citation. So plagiarism have two different kinds. The first type of plagiarism concerning, as I said, using information or ideas from any source that are not a common knowledge and failing to address the source. So first of all, failing to address the source or forgetting to include the source in your writing is a kind of plagiarism that you have to avoid in your writing. If you're using the ideas of a source, you're going to have to paraphrase it and make it in your own words, and then you can cite the source. So paraphrasing is important skill that you have to learn and you have to master in order to avoid plagiarism. If you decided that you want to paraphrase a source, you're going to have to use your own language, you're going to have to use your own words, and then you're going to have to also cite the source. So if you are paraphrasing or summarizing, make sure that you are still citing the source of the information. Another type of plagiarism, it's called patch writing. Again, patch writing means that you are copying from a source text and then deleting some words, changing the grammatical structure, and then plugging in some synonyms and words just to make some changes to the sentence without actually paraphrasing or do a legitimate paraphrase or legit summary of the original source. So make sure that you understand what patch writing means, because it is actually one of the most common unintentional plagiarism that might occur in colleges and universities. So if you are using a source, make sure that you are changing the structure, and you are changing the source of the structure of the structure and the words of the original source, so so that you are avoiding patch writing. So when it comes to avoiding plagiarism, or strategies that you have to use in order to avoid plagiarism, first of all, I cannot stress enough the importance of citing your sources. Always integrate in-text citation. In-text citation is really important. So as you can see in this example, every time we're bringing outside information, we are referring back to the source of the information in order to make sure that the readers understand that this is not our original work, and that we are integrating other people's work in our writing. If you are paraphrasing, make sure that you read the passage that you want to paraphrase, understand it carefully, and then you can write about it in your own words. Because as I said, if you are writing and you're using the same language and the same structure and the same words of the original text, you're actually patch writing, which is another form of plagiarism that you want to avoid, and it is considered a violation, an academic violation. So as I just explained, if in order to avoid plagiarism, you have to make sure that you have in-text citation, and make sure that when you are paraphrasing, you are changing the structure and you are changing the words of the original text. A third strategy that can be very effective when it comes to avoiding plagiarism is annotations. So when we say annotation, what does annotation mean? To annotate a text means is to create an organized list of sources, each of which is followed by a brief summary or annotation. So every time you're reading a book, you're reading an article, you have to create a summary of the major findings, or the major findings or major ideas, or the major points that you would like to include in your writing. There are some online sources that you can use, as annotate.com. Annotate.com is very important in order to keep your work organized. Every time you're reading a source, you're writing a summary about this source, and it also helps you into having all of the sources that you read in one place. This is an example of a successful annotation. So first of all, we have the source name, the name of the source, and then we have two paragraphs. The first paragraph should specify some of the important or major findings of the article or the book that we read, and the second paragraph should explain how does this source actually relate to the writing or the work that we are doing. In order to wrap up here, avoiding plagiarism, you have to keep track of your sources. Make sure that you're citing your source every time you're integrating an outside material. Make sure that you are not cutting and pasting materials into your paper, because this might actually end up being an unintentional plagiarism. So never cut and paste material into your paper thinking you will cite it later on. Every time you're using an outside source, make sure that you have the in-text citation. One important way to avoid plagiarism is to prepare for your assignments ahead of time in order to revise your draft, and in order to avoid any unintentional plagiarism. Any kind of text or audiovisual materials that you're integrating into your writing, you have to cite it. Use citation sources like EndNote that help you into generating sources, into generating references easily. This was my topic for today. I highly appreciate listening. and thank you very much for your understanding. Bye-bye.